back and it's Saturday morning and it's like crack of dawn in Chicago Saturday morning. I don't know why we do this, but Stuart, welcome to the party.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. Welcome, everyone. Hello.
Bob, what are we talking about today? Because it's our favorite topic.
Well, for the monthly meeting planner music club.
You know, it is right there at the top of the screen.
Oh, that's true. Okay, we're talking about some of our favorite ladies of rock and roll.
Yeah, and I'm gonna throw a caveat in here because I know that everyone gets all like up in their knickers about this stuff. These are our favorites. This is not a be all and end all list, right? That we are going to miss some very important figures in rock and roll.
and no doubt we're going to have our discussions as to whether anybody in our list actually properly qualifies as being rock and roll. So that's going to be interesting.
Well, and a good way to actually start off, because I'll actually start off with someone who we were talking about, Amy Winehouse, right? Is it rock and roll? I say yes.
I say no. More soul.
No, she's more jazzy.
Well, where are we going to go with it? I think so. That's definitely crossover there. I know we had this discussion yesterday, actually, Keith, off air. I'm actually probably changing my mind. I've swung in your favor, Keith. I think maybe she is rock.
Well, and I think that's how I get it, right? If you had to put hard classifications on people, right? I understand why people would say that Amy Winehouse is not rock and roll. However, I'm of the opinion that everything is rock and roll, right? You know, you had jazz and blues, and from that was born rock and roll. It's all the offshoot of the same thing. So, like, to me, hip hop is rock and roll. House music is rock and roll. So, I don't know. Bob, what is your thought? Because I know you totally don't agree.
I don't agree. Everything is rock and roll, that's for sure. But to find, right, so the way I look at it is if somebody start their career in rock and roll and play mostly rock and roll, if they divert into something slightly different for a short period, but then come back to rock and roll, they are still rock and roll. So, but if you start off like country and western or as a blues singer and you do a rock track, that doesn't make you necessarily a rock and roll person. I mean, like Madonna, she's diverted off into other musical styles, but she's always come back to doing pop music.
Okay.
So Amy Winehouse started off doing jazz style or jazz inspired music, quite soulful, but I wouldn't necessarily say she's rock and roll.
Well, the argument could be made that country is rock.
No, country music should be banned.
Oh, it should, yeah.
And you should be over 18 to listen to it. But make your own decisions when you're an
adult. Any country post 1990 should be banned.
Well, I think going on country, we've got Shania Twain, of course, who was country and then became more rocky, and that's where she made her name in rock, really.
Yeah. So Bob, given that, is Shania Twain rock and roll, or is she still country?
What's she done the most of? Has she spent more time doing rock and roll or more time doing country?
I'd say more time rock, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Or maybe she was more underground from a country perspective, but made popularity with rock. And going back to Amy Winehouse, got my little Amy Winehouse story here. I thought I'd use the mug, the Abbey Road Studios mug. Nice. Very on brand, very on brand with me. But I used to work with Abbey Road Studios and promote them as one of my clients. And Amy Winehouse obviously recorded at Abbey Road. There's a fabulous picture of her up on the walls at the studios there. But also she went to rehab on a private island again, which I worked with some time ago, OC Island. So that's where she wrote Rehab. So there's my little Amy Winehouse story. That
That is
is
actually a pretty cool story.
It's very rock and roll.
Oh yeah. So do we have a favorite track from Amy Winehouse?
Rehab.
I'm going to go with the Mark Ronson version of Valerie.
That's great. The great track.
Yeah. Love that. Love Amy Winehouse. Love her voice. All right, Bob, you're up. Who's next? Who you got?
All right. Yeah, so we're going to go. I've got to write this down for later on. So Rehab and what was it about?
Mark Ronson's track.
Yeah, the Valerie track. And then Angela's just chimed in the chat with Back to Black, which is actually an album title and a great track. Actually, did Amy Winehouse sing anything that wasn't good? Not really.
What a loss. What a loss.
If you have an opportunity, watch the documentary. It's absolutely phenomenal. You get a real good sense that she wanted it out, and it was the husband and the dad that kept pushing her back into music, and so what anyway.
So for the benefit of our Spotify listeners, we're about to play the track. If you're on the blog, we'll hopefully have the YouTube video of Rehab. Otherwise, we're going to move on.
And all right, Bob, you're up. Who's next?
Well, this is a discovery I came across. Really, really cool. And we're talking about a proper rock and roller who inspired, and I'm looking this up on Wikipedia to make sure I get this correct, inspired people like Little Richard, Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, Chuck Berry, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Eric Clapton. Sister Rosetta Tharpe, who was actually born, Rosetta Nubin. She was actually born in 1915 and died 1973. If you ever see a video of her, and we will include a link to her, it says here she did gospel recordings characterized by a mixture of spiritual lyrics and electric guitar. She was the first great recording star of gospel music, and she appealed to rhythm and blues and rock and roll audiences. And she, as I say, influenced some really great rock and roll stars.
Yeah, a lot of the really old singers, male and female, that came out of blues, and a lot of them get overshadowed by the the 50s rock and rollers, the Elvis Presley and all that. But these are the people that were actually more influential than them.
That's the thing. Quite often you have very inspirational people in all sorts of things like music or physics or chemistry, real inspirational women, but they kind of get a little bit overlooked, and the people who they inspire seem to take over. So it's worth remembering the people who the originals, the people who really started it off. So Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Listen to some tracks of this lady. I'm not familiar with her. Isn't that awful?
Yeah, it's good stuff to put in your playlist.
Yeah.
Well, and it's really funny. So my playlist, I'm a weird cat. So my playlists are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? And they kind of go through, different. Like they include. I will have country and blues and jazz all in the same playlist, but they kind of change. But so Sister Rosetta Tharpe is actually in a couple different playlists. So
yeah, she's amazing. When you see the video of her playing, it is amazing. She's really, really cool. So for the benefit of people who are watching this or later on YouTube, we'll hopefully have inserts of some videos. It'll definitely be on the blog post, on the show notes. If we have the track available, if you're listening via Spotify, then hopefully you'll be hearing that track next.
And Stuart, you're up. Who do you got? You had one that came out of left field just before we went live, and I was like, oh, how did we forget her?
Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, she is one of the greatest voices in rock. Absolutely.
Yeah. He's a real rock legend.
Yeah, well, and the cool thing was, she did it with Fleetwood Mac, right? That was all well and good. But then she went on to a great solo career. Like, her solo career may actually be better than the Fleetwood Mac years. Really. And she did some really awesome duets, right, with Tom Petty. Who else did she worked with a whole bunch of people.
Well, there's an album with Buckingham and Nicks.
Yeah, they're not friends anymore.
No, probably not. No, she's done loads of albums. I'm just looking through here, and there's loads of things she's done. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, and she's stayed relevant, right? All the way through. She's one of those that still, even folks who are younger still listen to Stevie Nicks. If you go to a Stevie Nicks concert, it is not old farts like us, right? There are plenty of young people in the audience who are still listening to Stevie Nicks.
She's still performing. According to Wikipedia, she's
she's on tour.
Yep, she's 74.
What?
She played at Glastonbury recently. I don't think it was this year. I think it was last year.
She's 74.
I know. Some of our favourite people, that we've listened to throughout our lives, they're just getting older.
Whatever. That means I'm getting older, and I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, so she's done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 albums.
And that's a solo.
Yep. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Fleetwood Mac albums?
She's pretty much everywhere. There used to be a time when every third song on the radio was Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'll pull us up into a more recent decade, right? Because we're kind of skipping all around. And this is actually probably, she's often forgotten, and she shouldn't be, but Sinead O'Connor. Troubles aside, but again, this is someone that has mental health issues, right? She's bipolar, schizophrenic, all of that. So I get it. But voice-wise, lyrics, her first 2 albums, the first one was Lion and the Cobra, and I don't remember what the second one is, but absolutely hands down one of my favorite female singers.
Oh, absolutely. Amazing. Amazing live. I've been lucky enough to see her live. Phenomenal. Oh, cool. Again, I just saw her at Glastonbury in the acoustic tent. It was incredible.
So here's my Sinead O'Connor seeing live story. So we had tickets to Sinead O'Connor here in Chicago. She was going to play at a little joint called the City Winery, and she was going to play on March 15th. And we had 3rd row. Right, City Winery, you have tables, so we had seats right up front. I was very excited. I've never had the opportunity to see Sinead O'Connor. March 13th was the day they shut everything down for COVID. And then, Sinead dips her toe into whether she's in or out of the business. And then the shows just all got canceled after that. Now she's not in the business anymore, apparently.
Do we have a favourite Sinead O'Connor track then?
It is not Nothing Compares to You. Anything but that.
Yeah, that's kind of overexposed, over saturated. That.
Yeah, I'll take anything off the album Lion and the Cobra.
Okay.
Great album. Very good album.
Yeah, that I played that one until it absolutely broke down.
Just looking up. Yeah,
Yeah, you better throw something in here, Bob, or I'm going.
Tears for the Moon, Lay Your Head Down, Queen of Denmark. Yeah, there's some really, really good tracks there. All right, well, for the benefit of Spotify listeners, we're going to throw in a track of Sinead O'Connor. For everybody else, you have to do with what we come up with for the show notes and then the embedded video. So
that album was massive when I was at university. It was pretty late 80s, would it be? Sort of late 80s, I'm guessing, that album.
And just coming up with the idea of Bjork. Not that she spelled it correctly, but never mind.
Bjork's actually, she could be on this list. She was just never one of my personal favorites, but there's nothing wrong with her. I mean, she's phenomenal.
Well, she always went from, she was never, yeah, from my experience of listening to Bjork and really enjoying her stuff, she went from being slightly weird to being really weird. It was never sort of anything less than slightly weird, if you know what I mean. But still very enjoyable, very good music.
Yeah.
So,
We like it.
but yeah, Oh So Quiet from was a great track.
Okay.
So who are we up to next?
Stuart, you got one, or you want me to dive in with one?
Yeah, Annie Lennox, another one.
Oh, Annie Lennox is.
She's probably the queen of rock, and again, keeping relevant. You know, she's changed her genre all the way through. She's kept absolutely irrelevant and kept performing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw the Eurythmics in the 80s, and it was probably one of the most phenomenal shows I've ever seen. She commands the stage, has a voice that is second to none. And I don't know that being a singer was actually her first love. Like when she came out, didn't she act, and wasn't she a model?
I don't know.
I'm going to look her up if you just bear with me. So just can confirm
But but anything that she's done, whether it was with Dave Stewart and the Eurythmics or as a solo artist, has just been absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely killing it.
In 1976, Annie Lennox was the flute player with a band called Dragon's Playground, leaving before they appeared on television. From 77 to 1980, she released singer of The Tourists. Everybody remember The Tourists?
No.
Oh, they were a great band. And then collaborated with Dave Stewart, which led to Eurythmics.
Wait, and she played the flute?
Apparently she played the flute, yeah.
So that actually is another one that's on our list, which is Lizzo, who brings us right up into this decade.
Oh, are we going to not mention any good tracks by Annie Lennox, or are we just going to move straight on?
Broken Glass.
Broken Glass.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
And Angela in the chat has the lighter shade of pale cover that she did, and I got to go with that. That was a freaking killer track.
All right. So for the benefits of our Spotify listeners, we're going to play a track from Annie Lennox. Walking on Broken Glass, or the cover
Broken
of.
Glass. Oh, Stuart.
Right?
Yeah, well, yeah, my vote gets my vote. Absolutely, Walking on Broken Glass.
Yeah,
Walking on Broken Glass. Okay, so for the benefit of our Spotify listeners, this is what you can listen to.
So and again, Lizzo is on our list. We don't need to go deep, but the flute thing got me because she actually just played. I think it was James Madison's, the former United States president. Apparently, the Smithsonian has 17 flutes that are of historical importance.
Oh, wow.
And they put out a tweet that was like, "Hey, Lizzo, want to come play one of these?" And she tweeted back, "Hell yeah!" So she actually just went and played this crystal flute, which I think is really cool. But a little bit, I don't think the body of work is there yet. But voice-wise, attitude, the whole 9 yards, I think Lizzo is phenomenal.
She was originally.
She only played a few notes on the flute, didn't she? But it went absolutely crazy viral, I believe.
Yes.
She was originally.
I'd be so afraid I was going to break it, I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah. She was actually born Melissa Vivian Jefferson.
Huh.
Okay.
Well, I didn't think Lizzo was her real name.
This is going to make you guys. It makes me feel really old. She was born in 1988.
I've got clothes older than that.
I do. I do.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought she was younger than that, actually. So that's cool.
There you go. Age 34.
Right.
She's been many things, says here. Aside from singing and rapping, Lizzo has also worked as an actor, voice actor. She's also been named Entertainer of the Year in 2019, so that's cool.
So, Bob, I got one for you because we have a question from the comments. Is Adele classified as rock? It is to me.
All right, so moved on from Lizzo then. So, Adele.
And is Adele one of there is a voice. She has a voice that is second to none. I think what got me about Adele is it got oversaturated. Like everywhere you turned, it was Adele.
Yeah.
As the comments blow up, now we have Florence and the Machine, Florence Welch.
She absolutely 100% rock.
Yeah, I gotta say how she didn't make it on the list we're kind of talking about today is that is a huge oversight on our part. But again, it goes back to there's so many. How can you pick them all?
All right, I'm just looking at Adele Adkins is her full name on the Discogs site for discography. Adele Adkins is an English soul/jazz singer from Brixton in South London.
And jazz is rock and rock is jazz.
Oh, you're just determined to keep in these women because you just think they're great and you don't care what genre they're in. You just want them in. That's fair. Okay, whatever. So Adele has done a lot of good music. Is there anything in particular that we would like to feature?
The one song that was written by the guy from New Republic or One Republic, rumor has it. That's
again, I'm going on with the Abbey Road theme. She did the theme to the Bond film, Skyfall, of course.
Of course, yeah.
That's a good one.
Recorded at Abbey Road.
You know, typically Bond themes usually don't work out too well for the artists that sing them. You know, they don't, you know, but Skyfall was a good one.
Well, it worked for Duran, View from a Kill.
Yeah. That's probably one of their better.
Yeah.
Actually, just saw Duran a few weeks ago, and they've got the whole big James Bond thing that comes, you know, the gun barrel that goes back and forth. It was a cool show. They did a good job.
Okay. So do we have an Adele track that we want to go with?
My vote's for Rumor Has It.
Hello?
Sorry, which one?
Oh, hello.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
That's a lovely ballad.
Fire in the Rain. Adele, Angela's suggestion, Fire in the Rain. That was good.
Fire. There are so many songs. All right. Bob, we'll let you pick what people get to listen to on Spotify.
All right. Fire in the Rain we'll go for, because that is a really good track. So for the benefit of our people listening on Spotify, here's Fire in the Rain.
All right. I've got to choose between two here because I know that we're already at 23 minutes, right? So Brittany Howard, Alabama Shakes.
Okay.
That her story is so compelling, right? That I don't know if she did our news show here, 60 Minutes. She had an interview, and she was just about to give up on the music industry when the Alabama Shakes first album popped. But I think voice-wise, anytime I hear that come on the radio, it's going to 11.
I'm trying to find anything about Brittany Howard.
Well, we don't have to dwell on it.
Alabama Shakes probably made it over to the UK 5-6 years ago, not that long ago. And they're amazing band.
Oh yeah,
but not as mainstream, not as well known. I think probably in the UK as the US. And
she's a hell of a guitar player too. Like she plays guitar, slide guitars. She is very, very good. But again, you know, that way we can fit more in. We don't have to, you know, we won't stay there because I'll throw out a Scottish American mix of music. Shirley Manson of Garbage.
Ooh, yeah.
Which she is Scottish, and all the fellas from Garbage are from actually right up the road here from Madison, Wisconsin. And I remember reading about the story about the first time she ever had to meet them, where, you know, she had to fly over from Scotland and, you know, you would land here at O'Hare and then maybe you might drive, but you would take a puddle jumper up to Madison. Someone coming from Scotland walking into Wisconsin. I don't know how that would go, but anyway, but the rest is history because they're still phenomenal and they're still doing very, very well. I think they're on tour right now, but even their latest album was phenomenal, and she has a voice. Again, it's just killer.
Oh yeah. So according to Wikipedia, she's been doing Garbage since 1994. Before that, she was a backing vocalist and keyboard player for Goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie from 81 to 92. And yeah, she's had a solo career plus with the band Garbage. And yeah, she's done really well. Really good singer, really impressive stuff.
I don't know that I've ever seen them.
I've never seen them, but I'm only happy when it rains.
Okay.
Perfect way to throw that in there.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we are leaving off some of the classic artists.
Right, I have one. There's when it comes to British rock music, there's one lady who's particularly behind all of it. Chrissie Hynde, Pretenders.
Yeah. When it comes to what though?
British rock.
Dude, she's from Ohio.
Is she?
She's lived in the UK since the 70s, I think, but she's from.
Oh, well, that makes her English. That's fine.
Whatever. But no, she is phenomenal.
Oh yes.
If I had to pick a Pretender song, what would I pick?
Well, let's see if I can find.
There's a lot of Pretender songs that I could pick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Post-punk singer-songwriter, born September 7th, 1951, in Akron, Ohio, USA. But she's been in the UK for a long time, so she's English. Who cares? We've taken it.
I'm going to go with, so for Spotify listeners who get to hear a track soon, I'm going to go with Back on the Chain Gang.
Yeah, good choice. Good choice.
So let's also stay back in, we're going to actually dial it back a little bit older than that. Janis Joplin.
Ooh.
Great call.
But to Bob's point, Bob, is that blues or rock?
I'll forget. I'll find it.
Big Brother in the Holding Company. That was definitely kind of bluesy. And I think there's only one track. Though, everyone always goes, the Chris Christopherson song that she covered, Me and Bobby McGee. Right? Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. But I'll go. My track for her would be what the hell's the name of the song? Is it Mercedes Benz? Do you know that one?
I'd know it if I heard it.
It's literally only 1 minute and 30 seconds long.
Well, Kevin, I'm not sure if you can play it, but
yes, the name of the song is actually Mercedes Benz. So
okay.
So we will actually include that one in Spotify and the YouTube video on the blog. But all right, who's next?
So we could have a selected track for Janis Joplin.
Mercedes Benz.
Mercedes Benz. Okay, for the benefit of Spotify listeners.
Okay, I just said that.
All right, yeah, but you rattled on afterwards. All right.
All right, guys, we got enough to cover. We can cover 2 more. We didn't even touch half the ones on our list.
All right. So going through what we got left. Right, see what takes your fancy. So we are Edie Brickell, Billie Eilish, Brittany Howard. Oh, yeah, we've done Brittany Howard. The Cranberries, lead singer of the Cranberries.
Dolores O'Riordan.
Yeah.
That was a tragic one. Right. Oh, my heavens.
Here's one that's going to be open for debate. And there's so many great tracks from this female lead singer. Right? There's a debate whether she's rock and roll or goth punk type thing. And that would be Susie Sue.
It's rock. It's rock and roll.
It's rock. Well, yeah. If you're going on Susie's, I'd also say Susie Quattro.
Oh, Susie Quattro. Runaway.
She's proper rock.
That's
All right.
that's rock.
Right. So let's talk about Susie Quattro then.
Well, and then with Susie Quattro, that you can actually roll that one up with Joan Jett, right? Because they were in the Runaways, and they both were spectacular.
Okay,
Still are
so
spectacular. See, and the comments from social are saying that Susie Sue is rock.
okay. So Susie Sue has had a fabulous long career. She's still going, as far as I'm aware.
Who's Susie Sue?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's been any new material in a few years, but I think she had something as late as like the 2010s.
Any particular favorite track?
See, this is going to sound lame, but Cities and Dust.
No, not with that.
Peekaboo.
Oh, Peekaboo was good. Yeah. Let me just look up and see what else she has done.
See where is she now?
Never seen her. Never seen her.
You know, it's really funny that how many artists that you think, you know, oh, where'd that artist go? They haven't done much. But you know, you look at Annie Lennox, because she has not had an album in many years, but she is still like out there championing all the causes that she believes in. You know, still amazingly busy person, just is not focused on the music anymore.
Very true. Very true.
You know, so I have no idea what Susie Sue's been up to. But I'm sure she's not resting on her laurels. Bob, we got time for one more.
I'm still looking up Susie Sue.
I'm going to throw it in.
What do you got?
Alanis Morissette.
Ooh.
You know, I'm going to go with you on that one.
Yeah.
I think that people got the Alanis Morissette burnout after that first album, right? Because that's I think it still might be the #1 selling album by a female artist ever, right? And it just crushed everything in its path. And then she did have actually albums after that were really, really good, but they were all overshadowed by that first album.
Yeah.
But you will not find anyone that can tell their personal story in song better than Alanis Morissette.
It's very true. It's ironic.
Now I know why we have you around.
Well done, Stuart.
But right, like every song you listen to on that album, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Oh, cool.
Well, and then you find out that one song was about the Canadian comedian who was on Full House, that Dave Coulier, and you're like, yeah.
That went way over my head. I missed that completely.
Just look him up, Dave Coulier. He's a. You're like, wow, that song's about him.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest one final one.
Okay, who do you got?
And then we can name a track for our Spotify listeners. And I think there's only really one woman who undoubtedly qualifies as being a rock and roll female. And that would be Pat Benatar. No argument there?
No argument.
You cannot argue with Pat Benatar.
No.
But what song do you pick? That's the thing.
Right, let me see if
Unfortunately, for me, it doesn't immediately spring to mind. I think you know that she's done so many tracks. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Love is a Battlefield.
Huh? Love is a Battlefield.
Love is a Battlefield. That's the one, really.
Yeah, Hit Me With Your Best Shot's pretty good. But that is actually going to totally take us full circle and to the end of the show.
Right. So before we move on, for the benefit of our Spotify listeners, here's Love is a Battlefield by Pat Benatar. And for everybody else, please check out the show notes and the blog post for more. So that brings us up to the end for today then.
There you go. All right, gentlemen, we shall see you next time. And in 4 weeks, we shall have another Meeting Planner Music Club. What topics should we cover on that one?
What are your thoughts, Stuart?
Ooh, modern jazz. That's a bit different.
Oh, yeah.
I could go with that. That could be a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Modern jazz.
So modern jazz would that be Thelonious Monk? Or more current?
No. It's a massive genre, isn't it? It crosses over a lot of areas. Or you could go right back to the early rock and roll, and do all of the how it was influenced with the big bands and that sort of stuff. So you've got.
And just suggesting heavy metal.
That is actually on the roadmap for the future, Angela.
Thrash metal.
What's that?
Thrash metal?
No, just heavy metal.
It always sounds like the harder it gets, you go from heavy metal to thrash metal to whatever. It's just like less and less tuneful.
I would agree with you.
And less chance to understand what the lyrics are saying.
So I like modern jazz for the next one. I think that's a lot of fun. We could actually do for the benefit of everybody that's listening that may not know jazz, we can also tie in some jazz rock.
Absolutely.
And crossover, like some Steely Dan. So I think that would be a fun topic. And then in the future, we also have to do one on punk.
Oh, yeah.
Because punk started, late 60s, right? You had Iggy and the Stooges, but comes all the way up to today, with bands like Green Day, no doubt. So there's a lot of fodder in that one.
Do we have a third choice that we could go with? Modern jazz, punk, and
heavy metal.
And heavy metal. All right. So what we're going to do?
That's 3 months right there.
Well,
you could go classical.
We could.
Completely different way. But you don't want to. All right, fair enough.
Well, my question is, we could go classical because I enjoy classical. When I'm working, that's my background music. But is anyone gonna listen?
Radio 3 listeners, tune in.
We got to do one on reggae.
I tell you what about one on film themes?
Best film themes. Oh, I like that.
That is
actually what skip the modern jazz will be 2 months. Let's do movie themes next.
I think
yes.
Yeah, because a lot of great music has come out of the movies.
Any John Hughes film has
any John Williams track.
Yeah, John Williams, Star Wars. Any of the Bond themes. Right? In fact, you could do a whole episode on Bond themes, which were good and which were bad.
Indeed.
So,
and don't forget, for the all the Bourne films, Moby did the music at the end of the film. I take it that counts.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
The theme that came at the end, but Moby was doing the music for that. So that's quite a modern thing.
I think the films are good.
And then at some point, we will have to do rap and hip hop. At some point.
I want to hear you rap, Keith.
That isn't going to happen. But if you had to pick my favorite rap hip hop group, who do you think I would pick? And I have an answer to this. I have a solid answer.
No idea.
Public Enemy.
Oh yes.
Absolutely hands down. And I actually got to see Chuck D and Flavor Flav. It wasn't the full Public Enemy, but I got to see them perform. And I was actually sitting off to the side of the stage. It was phenomenal.
All right. for anybody out there who likes to look things up, have a look at Public Enemy, who did a track with Anthrax. Bring the noise. That is a tremendous track. If that doesn't get you going in the mornings, nothing will.
Well, it's really funny, and I know we got to get out of here, but I like the original Bring the Noise, Public Enemy. I think that's it's a stellar track. But then even with the Anthrax version where they did it was just as good.
Up the ante. It was. I think it's better with the two doing it.
That's actually, I can't listen to that song in the morning. It is just too go. I need my coffee first.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, gentlemen. So that's it. We will catch everyone in about 4 weeks for the next Meeting Planner Music Club. Stuart, we've got you coming up with I can never remember the name of the venue we're going to be talking about.
Coventry Building Society Arena?
Yes, thank you. We will be talking about that shortly on an episode coming up. And Bob, any last words?
Well, Stuart, we got you coming back for a podcast episode that we should be putting out in the next few days. But no, it's been a real pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you for taking part. And for all the people who are listening, thank you for listening. Spotify users, you're going to hear the music. For everywhere else, please check out the blog post on, where would it be, Keith?
bullet-list.com.
See, that's your job. That's what you say every time.
And I almost missed it.
You almost missed it. So we will include videos where we can find them and we're able to put them on. So, and also please join us on Facebook, where you can make suggestions about which tracks to feature, which themes we should have on the music club. Just come and talk to us and come and share your ideas and thoughts.
See ya.
See ya.
See you all.